Unlock the power of the Merkaba to jump dimensions. Warping space-time with your energy body to travel the universe. Magic is nothing more than being able to warp space-time to your will. The Merkaba is a sacred 4D geometric symbol which contains all forms within itself. Maoshan sorcerers discovered how to combine spheres and triangles with their energy bodies to open space-time portals. This is the sacred combination of spheres and triangles, as well as the 8-sided symbol which actually unfolds into the Merkaba. Practices that I have been sharing with you on the shop in the thunderwizard.com website are practices that will allow you to jump into different dimensions. When you master this energy, you can then take it into meditation and use it to literally shift dimensions like you would change numbers on a combination lock. We don't live in a single universe. We live in a universe of probabilities. The universe that you experience is the one that you unconsciously choose and manifest. Using these practices allows you to tap into the Merkaba so that you can shift into the dimension that you prefer to live in. Go to thunderwizard.com and click on Shop. Solar Flash Update 2024. The Solar Flash will create 3 new Earths, a 2D, a 3D, and a 5D. Each human must choose. Get my books on Amazon, Kindle, or Audible, or at michaelwilliamdenny.com. Not the kind that abduct, those are something else, but higher dimensional beings of light. And they have been educating me on the nature of the multiverse, things that you cannot learn in the 3rd dimension, things you cannot learn from science or religion. And one of those things is that they let me know that there was going to be an Ascension event. And they showed me in a vision which was tailored to me and all of the symbolism that I respond to psychologically, so I won't get into that. But it was very clear, the message, that there was going to be an event that everybody would see, and it would be an event that would be of a highly profound spiritual nature. Oh. The truth is that everything you always have most deeply desired is the truth. You've wanted to be loved. You've wanted to be seen. You've wanted to be accepted. You've wanted to be safe. And that is the truth. When we break through the barrier of the third dimension and we connect to higher dimensional anything, just anything outside of the third dimension, the first thing that hits you is the unbelievable love. That's the only thing that exists. And that you experience how beautiful and loved and special you are. Hello, my fellow human light beings. This is Mahadeva, the Thunder Wizard. So today we are, this is normally the time for the interdimensional, live guided interdimensional meditation. But today we are going to have a grand solar flash interdimensional meditation update. And it can be a live discussion, a Q&A. And we're going to, well, maybe we'll talk on this. Planet Earth has officially begun the grand frequency shift. And we're going to talk about how star seeds are shifting Earth to 5D. My apologies, I uploaded the video earlier today and I didn't turn down the huar breath in the background so you couldn't hear me, so I deleted it. We'll get to it at some point. As always, 5D is coming for Earth. I could say it's already here. It just hasn't completely manifested yet. And as always, my suggestion is question your reality and then change it. After today, you'll know why I continuously question my reality. Because I'm going to do something today I've been putting off for 2 years. I am going to tell you things today that I have only told one other person, having to do with messages I've received, or at least messages I believe that I have received from higher dimensional beings. And so again, if you're here for the meditation, my apologies. What happened in the last meditation was so enormously powerful that I blew out a circuit. I blew out a meridian in my body. I'm going to be okay, but I was in a great deal of pain. And it wasn't anything physical, it was just simply just right on the periphery of a particular spot on my abdomen. And at first I was really worried, what the heck was that? But you know, I've gone through this before, you know, I've blown out circuits before, and I can tell when it's a meridian that has been, you know, either opened up or is blocked or something like that. And so I went and I looked it up because it was really starting to worry me. So this was right after what happened Wednesday. We did the meditation and it was absolutely mind-blowing for me, hugely powerful. And I felt something release. I went deeper than I've ever gone in these live meditations, and I went to places energetically, you know, while still in my conscious body that I can't remember ever doing. And so the next day I woke up and I was just wiped out. I mean, I just could not function. And I just had to rest and nap all day. I didn't do a whole lot. And then I started getting a very sharp pain on the periphery of my abdomen, just on the surface there. And I thought, you know, I'd really done it now. I didn't know what it was. And when I became aware, it took me a day or two to realize this was an energy meridian that had blown out. So I went and I did research on it. I found the point and I looked it up in traditional Chinese medicine, the TCM chart, and sure enough, that explained everything. Whatever we did in that meditation, what it had to do with me was it had to do with manifestation. It had to do with ancestral karmic energy. It had to do with 3D attachments. And I'm just looking at some of the spiritual, there's physical things. People can have that same thing, when they have something wrong physically. I'm perfectly fine physically, but it was just, a meridian thing. So after our meditation, which if you want to go back, I won't tell you what we did. It's archived up there. You can go, if you haven't watched it, go and watch it. You'll find out what happened. But I came to the conclusion that we broke through something, like blasted through something. And other people had that same experience, that there was something that we did during that meditation that changed everything. And I went into it, as you've been hearing me lead up to it. I went into that meditation with the intention of, I'm going to destroy the third dimension. I'm going to blow it wide open. I'm going to just, So anyway, so that's why I'm not leading a meditation tonight. Last night we had the live Zoom discussion where people come and they share their experiences with higher dimensional meditation. And just showing up for that, I just tapping into that energy, I could feel it. It was very painful. Anyway, the good news is I got some surfing in today. I woke up today. The pain physically was, just a little bit sore, but nevertheless, I'm not gonna do that kind of meditation until I'm 100%. So I'd love to hear people's experience of what they experienced on Wednesday. This is going to be a live stream question and answer, so if you want to ask questions, you can. I am going to share with you, however, my focus in this live stream is I'm going to be telling you things particularly that light beings told me, or at least that I believe that they told me about who I am. And the reason why I'm doing it is because I'm not the only person having these kinds of experiences. And a lot of people, this came up in the Zoom class last night, a lot of people, they start to talk about it and they feel like, this sounds really crazy. And I know, because when you hear what I have to tell you, you're going to understand why I haven't talked about it. The main reason I haven't shared these things is because I didn't want to distract anybody. Besides the fact that I was embarrassed and I didn't want to look like I was, a Looney Tune narcissist. Besides that, but even when I went beyond that, I was like, I don't want to distract anybody from what's important, because this isn't about me. Because what I've been told is so fantastical, is so grandiose. Wait till you see, because I'll tell you, there's more. And if we get to it, I've got notes here, because after some of my journeys, I've taken notes of things that happened. And this is why you should do that. If you're doing interdimensional meditation, you should write down afterwards what happens, because some of the stuff you forget, and I read it and I go, holy crap, I forgot that happened. So before we do that, let me set the stage for what I've learned. Bear in mind, if you're new to the channel, maybe you don't know this, but bear in mind, 2.5 years ago, I did not believe in extraterrestrials. They were too far away. Nobody can go faster than the speed of light, et cetera, et cetera. I just don't buy into it. I never really felt comfortable with what has been portrayed about extraterrestrials abducting humans, experimenting on them. It frightened me. The thought of it was very frightening to me, but there was something in me that said that doesn't make sense. These are supposedly beings that are more advanced than us. They're not going to act like psychopathic humans, because that's all I saw was, people acting like crazy psychopathic humans. And so I just wrote off the whole idea of extraterrestrials until I watched a couple of movies by Dr. Stephen Greer, and I saw what was going on, and I said, that sounds like the ancestors that I've been training with when I do the Maoshan practices. The Maoshan practices are, very powerfully connected to the ancestors and the gods, and I said, That's what that sounds like. And I said, if that's real, I want that. I want to become their students. I want to learn from them. So I did CE5, human initiated contact with extraterrestrials, according to Dr. Greer's protocol. And if you want to know what happened, you can go on my channel and go into the aliens playlist and look for how I became an extraterrestrial, and you can see the experiences, at least the external experience that I had. But I've never been the same ever since then. And from the very first interaction that I was able to perceive, because it took me a while before I could get past my protection mechanism and be able to hear and experience and feel what was going on. As soon as that started happening, the messages were immediate and they were absolutely fantastical. Now, I'd never heard anybody talk in the way that I'm going to be sharing with you. So bear in mind, as soon as this started happening, I went online looking to find other people who had had these kinds of experiences, and I couldn't find anybody. And this was very challenging for me. And if you watch the videos from back then, I thought I was losing my mind. I absolutely thought I was going crazy. And so there's that. So let me say something else before we get into this, because I guess it helps me ease into what I'm going to tell you. But also because what I really want from this is that you will have your own experiences along these lines. And that means you will have to be willing to allow yourself to believe it and go there. Because none of this happens without your, at very least, unconscious permission. So you can only go as far with these light beings as you're willing and able to go. And it's very difficult to do that if you try and bring third dimensional understanding to this. So very quickly, just bear with me and just try and let this be the assumption from which you operate as I start telling you the things that started happening. So understand that almost nobody has any idea what higher dimension means. And so when I talk about higher dimensions, when I talk about other dimensions, I'm not talking about other universes. Because usually when people talk about alternate dimensions, what they're really talking about is an alternate 3D universe. You can go and watch sci-fi movies and they'll go into another universe, but they'll call it another dimension. I was in another dimension, or the other dimension. And that's not what another dimension is. Physically, a dimension, we live in the third dimension, which has 8 reference points. We live in a box. We can only experience up, down, forward, backward, left, right. That's it. And we can only experience duality. Something is good or bad. We're awake or we're asleep. We have a conscious mind and an unconscious mind. Things are good or bad. You're hungry, you're full. That's all that we're capable of doing. We can conceptualize a third aspect and find a middle ground, which is what spirituality is all about, trying to find that third middle ground between, yin and yang, dark and light. That's our third dimension. And our emotions are limited to very specific emotions. We have a lot of negative emotions, which has to do with the duality that we live in. Anger, fear, jealousy, competition, hunger, greed. These are things that are only found in the third dimension and below. You go below the third dimension, there's no third option. Everything is fear and anger and predation. That's why demons are so frightening, because they're two-dimensional beings. That's why ghosts are so frightening. two-dimensional beings. They bleed into our third dimension. So understand that. And as I've said before, every single person, no matter where they are, no matter who they are, every single person who wants to tell you that extraterrestrials are predatory, that there are beings in higher dimensions that want to steal your soul, they want to harvest your soul, they want to force you to reincarnate, they want to feed off of you. Anybody who says that has never been outside of the third dimension, and you can forget everything they say. They might conflate with a bunch of other really cool sounding stuff, but I can tell you, because I've experienced it, they have no idea what they're talking about. So everything that's negative, that we experience as negative, is confined within the third dimension. The third dimension is a physical space. 8 reference points. There's 4 above us, 4 beneath us. You draw lines, you create a box. That's what we live in. We live in a box. Now, the 4th dimension, which is time, that has 16 reference points. I can't show you what that looks like because there are directions that we can't comprehend. In the same way that somebody who lives in the two-dimensional world can't perceive up and down. If you try and tell somebody in the 2nd dimension, go up, they go, what is up? What are you talking about? They have no way, they have no possible way of understanding it. We can't possibly understand whatever other directions, physical directions, are involved in the 4th dimension. That's just the 4th dimension. Now, that is just the physical reference. Remember what I said about third dimensional emotions. We can have love in the 3rd dimension, but it's transactional. So transactional means that, this is why we only marry one person in the 3rd dimension. Because in the 3rd dimension, you have an agenda, they have an agenda. When you say, I love you, it means that you want something from them, even though you do love them and want them to be happy. They want something from you. So love in the 3rd dimension is transactional unless you're a mother. A healthy mother is the only being that can have love without a transactional relationship. But every other being has a transactional relationship, and to some extent a father too, but everybody else, love is transactional. Does it feel good? Yes. Do you have squishy feelings for other people? Yes. But it's always transactional. The happiness, the joy that we experience, the fun that we experience has a limitation. The frequency only goes so high. And so that's the 3rd dimension. So what happens is people in the 3rd dimension, when they want to talk about extraterrestrials, other dimensions, the 5th dimension, most people, 99% of them, if not more, are projecting 3rd dimensional understandings onto things they don't have any clue about. That's why there are people who will say, oh, I'm in the 5th dimension, oh, I'm in the 6th dimension, and yet they're typing on their computer and you're reading their emails. If you're in the 4th dimension, nobody's going to see you. Right now, if I shifted out of the 3rd dimension, or even if I shifted to a higher frequency of the 3rd dimension, I would disappear off of your screen. So nobody can look you in the face and say, I am in the 5th dimension, I'm in the 6th dimension. They have no idea what they're talking about. Okay, so I'm doing this to destroy any projections that you're going to have on higher dimensional anything. Forget about it. Just start from a clean slate and realize you don't have the first clue, unless you've experienced it. You don't have the first clue about anything above the 3rd dimension. I didn't have any understanding, which is why I felt I was losing my mind. So besides all of the directions that aren't there, which is if we go to the 4th dimension, we can be in any time, past, present, and future, because the 4th dimension is time. So time, there could be a direction. Right now, we know how to go up, down, backwards, and forwards, but we don't know how to go Kleppenthorpe. So if you turn Gleppenthorpe, then you're able to go back in time. I don't know how to do that because I'm a third dimensional being. When you go to the fourth dimension, however, emotions increase exponentially. Just like the number of reference points, physical reference points, doubles. It doesn't just double from 1 to 2, it goes from 1 to a billion. It's exponential. Same thing with the emotions. They also rise up. So before you start saying, well, then hate must be exponentially larger. No, hate doesn't go up into the fourth dimension. It won't go there. It won't fit. So we're talking about 5D. So in 5D, we're talking about 32 physical reference points. There's directions. You know, I can tell you for a fact that beings who interact with me from higher dimensions, they're able to do things to my body and my energy body that would be like us. If you're looking at a two-dimensional being, you could like stick your finger through the top of their head and, you know, turn their heart around. And, you know, from their perspective, they can't see anything. All they know is that something inside of them is moving around. It's like that. So these beings are so far above us, beyond us, in terms of their ability to interact with us, not to mention about time and space and all of that. But the emotions are also exponentially enhanced. And in each dimension, when you go higher, the emotions go to a higher place of love. And the love becomes more than you can. Again, there's a reason why I blew out a circuit, because if you went back to, if you were in that video, if you were in that meditation on Wednesday, I mean, I went to some places and we talked about love and we talked about God and rainbows and, you know, things that tough guys don't normally talk about. And I was 100% there, and it just, you know, I was in a higher dimensional state of feeling and experiencing the love of the universe, and my third dimensional body went, because it's not designed to go to that level of intensity, which is why we have to shift up to another frequency to experience the love that we're all wanting to experience. Again, if you're just showing up to the channel, I'm not going to be doing a live meditation today. I'm going to be talking to you. I'm going to be sharing with you some secrets I haven't shared with anybody about what light beings have showed me. All right, so do you understand what I'm saying now? I want you to understand that everything in higher dimensions, no matter what it is, no matter what information you get, is going to absolutely blow your mind. And it will be fantastical, and it will be hard to believe. Just like if I talk to a two-dimensional being and I say something normal, you know, that's a normal third dimensional thing. Yeah, I jumped up in the air 2.5 feet. You say that to a two-dimensional being, if you give them an instantaneous experience of it, it will be so far beyond anything they've ever been able to comprehend, they will go out of their mind. And they will spend the rest of their life talking to the other two-dimensional beings about 2 feet up, man. What is 2 feet up? What is this? A thing where you go, and they'll lock them up because it's so far beyond what they can imagine. So I want to prepare you for that if you haven't already experienced it. If you have experienced it, then I want you to feel comforted in knowing that this is completely unbelievable. Because it is. It's totally impossible in the third dimension. Totally impossible. So, I hope I made myself clear. Do not project your third dimensional reality onto 5-dimensional space, time, especially 5th dimensional beings. Okay? All right. First thing, before I get into it, I want to take you one other place. So I would say probably one of the first handful of interactions. This is my friend here who showed up right there. I couldn't physically see him, but I could feel that he had come into the room, and I could feel his extremely powerful energy, just, waves of orgasmic bliss going through me. You think that's fun. It's not. It's like, oh, you think you're losing your mind. Which I was. I was losing my 3D mind. And this being said, again, I'm getting this telepathically. I'm not seeing anything. I'm not hearing any voices. That's how they interact with me, is telepathically. And in case you want to know what telepathic communication is like with a higher dimensional being, you're going to have to read my book. Again, I'm amazed at how many people come onto my channel, leave comments. I can tell when you leave a comment if you've read my books or not, especially if you're going to start talking to me about extraterrestrials. I'm going to know in a second if you've read my books. So if you want to read my books on my ET experiences and how telepathic communication works, you can go to michaelwilliamdenny, DENNEY.com, and read my books, and you'll understand. But telepathic communication. So this being sends this huge jolt of energy at me, which for me helps me because I know I'm not making it up. And I can feel that the energy is not coming from anything in the third dimension. And in comes this message. And he says, you are a probability. And I said, yes, I know. Everything is possible, blah, blah, blah. And again, the message comes back. You are a probability. The feeling behind that was, no, you're not paying attention. Here's what I'm trying to tell you. You are a probability. Over and over again. You are a probability. And then I finally stopped trying to tell him what I thought I knew, and I started listening. And as I started listening, then I started getting pulled into other dimensional realities, and my brain broke in all kinds of ways. But here's what I've come to understand. And this has to do with what I'm about to tell you about myself. Is that in this third dimension, everything that you experience is a result of you projecting your beliefs, your intentions, your expectations, and your desires onto a screen, the third dimensional screen. When you do that, your reality manifests. Just as an example, I had this weird feeling last night where I started having this weird feeling that my reality was going to change, like the world was going to change, something. And I got up and I went in the kitchen, and I swear to you, there was, there's the window, and then there's the, the little blinds, and, in this house I'm renting, the little strings are gone. It's just stuck up there in the top, and there's no way to pull it down. And there's no little, wand to open it up. And I walk in there, and the wand is hanging down. And I went, what the F? That, I know for a fact that wasn't there. Now, I might be wrong about that. But the reality is that everything in my reality, my phone, everything here, you, this, my computer, I am continuously manifesting that based on the infinite number of probable realities that could exist. This is what the shift is going to be. The shift is going to be that we are going to shift our expectations, beliefs, desires, and intentions. And when we do that, when enough of us do that, we will shift into a different reality. It will be completely different. Might be exactly the same, but slightly different. Whatever it is, it's going to be a different reality. And I've been told that people are going to think that I died. And I took that to mean that I will shift out of their reality and I'll show up in another one. That might be true for you as well. All right, so I just want to lay the groundwork. I want you to not project your third dimensional reality onto the things I'm going to say. I really want to hold this off, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I wrote it down so that I would be, I put it into a list here so that I would be forced to talk about it. But my hope is that, I know some of you are listening, you'll breathe a sigh of relief, because if you think your stuff is crazy, wait until you see this. Maybe you won't think it's crazy. Maybe it's just my ego. I might just have an ego issue about it, and I might think it's crazy, but we'll find out. Anyway, let's go. Is that it? There it is. No, where's my list? There it is. All right. Some of the fantastical communications I interpreted from higher dimensional light beings and interdimensional journeys. Oh my God. Number 1, I will be king of 5D Earth. That was one of the first things they told me. That same guy who told me I was a probability. I don't know if it was that day or the next day or the day before, but it was right around that time. So I was already losing it. He showed up and he said, "We're going to make you king of Earth." And I went, "What? What are you talking about? What does that mean?" He said, "We're going to make you king of Earth." and he wouldn't shut up about it. He wouldn't stop saying it. You're going to be king of Earth. You're going to rule over the whole planet. What do you say to that? It's quite obvious that if I go and try and, I had to leave Australia. They kicked me out of Australia. So if I was king of Earth in 3D, I'd still be in Australia, but they kicked me out. So, here's I'm going to give you this is very embarrassing. It's very hard for me to stay here after saying that. But here's what I've done in order to stay sane. No, I don't want to cut off the head of my friend here. Here's what I've had to do to stay sane. I don't try and figure it out. If you go back in time and you see the videos where, remember, I gave myself frozen shoulder and I couldn't do videos for a couple of weeks, that's why. Because I could not understand what that meant. And I couldn't accept that idea. I'm going to be king of the planet Earth. I couldn't accept. At one point, they came to me and they said, "If you don't want it, we'll give it to somebody else." And I said, no, I want it. I want it. So, I had to own it after that. Let's see. I've got more stuff to say about that, but I think I wrote it down here. Let's see, where am I? Okay. So I'm going to be king of Earth. They also said I'm Shiva incarnate. Now, I wrote that in my book. That's a little easier to accept because everybody's Shiva, and that's the teaching of the Shiva sect, is that everybody is Shiva. So that's not too hard to swallow. But it was still to be told that from a higher dimensional being who's treating me like I'm God and they're worshiping me and they're calling me Shiva. I started to think, I think I've really lost it. I've become a narcissist. I've gone completely delusional here. All right, so after the first live interdimensional meditation, if you remember that, it's on there, the first time that I took you guys to the sun, because I found out what the solar flash event was going to be. It was going to be the sun sending waves of solar energy of love. I thought, oh, cool. Well, let's do a meditation. We'll all fly to the sun and we'll imagine sending love to Earth. That's all I was thinking. I did that. And after that first interdimensional live meditation, they showed up either that night or the next night, and I was upgraded to, quote, supreme ruler of this universe. If I wasn't already losing my mind. Now, the being that showed up was enormously powerful. I've never felt anything like that. Whoever he was, and I think it was a he, whoever he was, he's in a very, very high dimensional level, because the power was frightening. And when this being telepathically spoke, there was, normally you go, did I just hear that? Did I just say that? And, when this guy spoke, you felt it. And he said, because of what you've done, we are upgrading you. First thing that happened was, this doesn't happen now. Very rarely happens now. But back then, 2 years ago, beings were showing up every single night. I would go to sleep or go to bed, and as soon as I, turn off, and then beings would start showing up. Beings were working on me energetically, talking to me, doing all. I mean, it was like Grand Central Station in here. And so I get in bed, and I'm getting ready to go to sleep, and being shows up. I feel, so I wake up. I mean, I don't get out of bed. I'm still, my eyes closed. I'm still in a state of, meditation, but I'm wide awake. And the being says, it was a woman or a female, and she says, we're going to give you an upgrade, and she's like playing like that. And I'm like, I don't know what the hell that means. So I must have just been energetically like, she goes, say thank you. I go, thank you. And she takes off. And I don't know how much longer this other being shows up. What a hugely powerful being. And this being says, because of what you just did, you have been upgraded to supreme ruler of the universe. Now at that point I started checking out. Now it got weirder, and I can't remember if it was this same time or another time. It might have been another time where beings showed up, but I kid you not, hundreds if not thousands of beings showed up as if they were in front of the King of the universe. And they were bowing before me, and they were saying, I'm here to, I'm so-and-so, I'm the architect of timelines, please tell me how I can help you. I'm the being who creates and I didn't know what the hell to do. And they're coming to me asking, how can I serve you, my liege? I have no idea how to respond to these beings. And so after a bunch of them came and, were, bowing before me and saying they're going to serve me and as I ruling the universe, I just picked one of them and I said, I need a secretary. Can one of you guys be my secretary? Because I can't keep track of all of this. And a being shows up and says, yeah, I'll be your secretary. And I said, okay, so from now on, you're going to have to write down who these people are and what they're saying, because I can't remember any of this and I don't even know what the hell it means. And he says, yeah, absolutely. So every time I would go into meditation, the first thing I would do is I would call my secretary. And what ended up happening then blew me away. I didn't write this down, but this ended up blowing me away. Because I practice Vedic spirituality, Norse stuff, but that's it. I don't do anything having to do with ancient Egypt. I got nothing against it. It's just not my thing. I don't know anything about it. So as I'm in interdimensional meditation one night, I keep seeing this being that looks exactly like, at that time I'm thinking, what is that Egyptian god that looks like a bird? Who the heck is that? And I start looking it up, and it's Thoth. And then I went back, and I said, are you Thoth? And he goes, yeah. He says, I'm the messenger of the gods. He says, you're Shiva. You're the ruler of the universe. You asked for a secretary. Here I am. That's my job. This is just not something I would imagine. None of this would come into my mind. I wasn't into any of that. There's no ego boost to that. This doesn't make any sense. it gets crazier. All right, here's this third one. I was the first king of planet Earth many thousands of years ago. This is tough to talk about, which tells me that there's some truth to it. So one night, again, some powerful beings show up, and this being says, I have something to tell you, and it's going to be very difficult for you to hear. Now, I'm thinking they're going to tell me that something bad is going to happen to me, and, I'm going to, whatever, I'm going to go broke or something like that. I'm thinking about the 3D things that could go wrong, and I'm like, oh, man, I don't want to hear that. And this being says, you are king of Earth, and then goes on to say, we're going to make you king of Earth because you have a karmic duty, because you were the first king of the planet, and you are the one who created the circumstances behind the elites that are running the world now. So you're the one that got that in motion, and they're there because of what you did. And so it's your karma. You have to balance it. We're going to make you king of Earth so that you can balance the energy and bring things back to where they belong. And so I don't have any details about what I did, and I don't want to know, because the thought of it is extremely saddening for me. Now, I'm grateful because since then I've run into people who have had similar kinds of things, not that they're king of Earth, but that they were told, you're going to have this power because you did this in the past life, and you did this to people, so you have to have this authority now to balance that out. It sounds really good on the surface, like, oh, I'm this really amazing. Then you find out, oh, that's because I did that. So let's see, it doesn't stop there. I think I talk about it later, so I won't get ahead of myself. But yeah, so I was the first king of planet Earth many thousands of years ago. And because of that, and because of what I did, whatever mistakes I made, I am responsible to be king of 5D and make it right. That was the part that I didn't get. The being was saying, this is going to be hard for you to hear. I thought it was going to be hard for me to hear because it's so expanding to my ego and it sounds so, but what's hard to hear is, whatever negative karma I created. That's the part that was hard to hear. And I don't want to know. Whatever I did, I did. I don't want to go back to that, whatever that was. All right, another one. I will bring 5D ascension to planet Earth. One day, a beautiful female being shows up and says, and the great thing about the feminine beings, not all the time, but much of the time, the male beings from higher dimensions, they show up and they make these announcements, and you get pulverized by, huge amounts of energy, and it's very shocking and intense. The female beings will show up and they're very playful and very flirtatious with me anyway. And this one shows up and she sidles up next to me and she says, "Can I ask you a question?" And I said, "Of course." She said, "How would you like to be the person solely responsible for bringing 5D to human beings on planet Earth?" And how do you respond to that? I said, well, of course I'd like that. That sounds like a lot of fun. It's a lot different than somebody announcing that's what you do. So he said, well, you are. You're the one responsible. You're going to bring it. And I'm okay. Bear in mind, up until this point, I am just, I've already broken myself physically. I've absolutely lost my mind. I mean, I've gone to so many places. I can't even begin to tell you some of the stuff that's happened in higher dimensions and other timelines and all that stuff that just just twisted me in all kinds of knots. All that's going on. The energy is flowing through me. It's not just that I'm having these fantasies in my head. These energies are hitting me, you know, and changing me physically. And I'm, you know, I woke up in the middle of the night one night, you know, for the first couple of months, I mean, I had just had to get used to it. It was very traumatizing. I won't lie to you. Not because anything bad was happening. Nobody was harming me. The energy was always very blissful and orgasmic, but it was nothing I'd ever experienced before. And, you know, I could feel like there was this blue, you know, in these, you know, these thumbnails that I make, you notice that I put a lot of blue in them. And that's because there was like this blue electric energy that was being put into me, you know, up, you know, Kundalini, my spinal column, whatever it is. And I could, you know, see it in my mind's eye. I could see it just, and, you know, I'd be sleeping and dreaming and all that kind of stuff. And I'd wake up, and of course I can't see anything with my physical eyes, but I'm surrounded by beings that are working on me. And I woke up one night and my leg was up in the air and somebody was twisting my foot around, you know, releasing something. I don't know. My foot was sore for a couple of days after that. This is the kind of stuff that was happening every night. And I just, you know, I really did everything I could to hold my sanity together. So I learned that the one thing I did is that I didn't, if I doubted it, like if I started to doubt whatever I was told or whatever I saw, I'd start losing my sanity and my body would start falling apart. So I learned just out of survival to not try and figure anything out. And then the next thing that I learned how to do was not become emotionally attached. So all of these things I'm telling you, as embarrassing as they are, I don't have any attachments to them. If they happen, they happen. If they don't, they don't. If they mean something different than what I interpreted, I have no attachment to any of it. I have no ego. I mean, if somebody hears this and says that they think I'm insane or that I've lost my mind or that I'm, you know, a crazy narcissist, I'm not gonna have any negative reaction. Like, yeah, I completely understand why you'd think that. I've thought that myself. So that's how you know the difference between somebody who's having these experiences and somebody who's deluded. A deluded person is very attached to it. So somebody who's deluded and thinks that they're king of the world, God incarnate, whatever it is, and you tell them, no, you're not, they will get angry with you. And they will start telling you that they definitely are, and they'll have a victim mentality about it. So that's a deluded person. So if I'm deluded, I'm not consciously aware of that, and I don't have any attachment to any of this stuff. In fact, it takes effort. I have to put huge amounts of effort into accepting it, expanding into it, and then asking, now what does that mean? It takes everything I have to do that. It would be much easier to just simply say I was crazy and I was making this up. That would be the easiest thing to do. So I'm telling this to you who are going through it because this is not an easy path. The awakening to your higher dimensional self is not easy for me. Maybe it's easy for you, but it's not easy for me. You know. So, you know, and I wonder, every single day I walk around going, I have no idea if any of this is true. I walk around, I don't say it out loud, but I think, why did they choose me? What did I, and then I remember, oh, that's right, it's my karma. It wasn't because of anything special. It's because I made some mistakes. I gotta clean them up. All right, let's keep going. All right, so I have a sacred energy portal on 5D Earth where I rule on a crystal throne. This is to help those of you, doing the interdimensional meditations where I'm leading you and or you call the light beings and you ask them questions. That's what I did at first, and then that stopped happening. I would try and do it and nothing would happen. And then what I started doing is I started listening to what they had told me. I said, well, maybe they're maybe I need to start doing what they've told me to do. So one of the things that they've told me to do over and over again is you have to fantasize about your perfect 5D world that you're going to rule. You're going to rule over 5D. You have to fantasize about it. You have to create it. It won't exist until you create it. You're a probability, so you got to create that probable reality. You got to focus on it. You have to get emotionally attached to that reality. You have to have fun and enjoy it and have that be so fun that you can't wait to get there. So these are the things that they taught me. So I started doing that. Now, one of the things you might hear me say is follow the energy. So when you start fantasizing in your interdimensional meditations and you feel a rush of energy, that is the universe and or the light being saying, yes, go in that direction. Keep doing that. They're encouraging you. So I started creating this place. Now, my favorite place in the world is a stretch of coastline from Coolum Beach, Australia, all the way up to Noosa. Any of you familiar with Australia, you know that whole stretch it's about 20 miles. And Noosa is in a national park. Now it's crowded as hell, in 3D. It's just horrifically, disgustingly crowded. But it is the most beautiful forest I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen anything like it. It's absolutely unique. And my body is the happiest it's ever been. In that whole area, starting from Coolum Beach, First Bay, if you know where that is, from First Bay all the way up to Noosa. My body says this is home. And I've never felt as peaceful, and that's why I tried to stay there, and that's why I was so sad when I had to leave. So my 5D fantasy is my throne is on the Noosa Peninsula, right where that first surfing spot is, and I've created a whole complex there. And then my home is where I was living just before I had to leave, which was just above First Bay in Coolum Beach, about 20 miles south. So I go there, or I went there for a long time, and I would create everything. I would create all of the buildings. I would create my, where I was, and I would go there and I would sit in my throne and I would call Thoth, and I would say, do I have any appointments? And Thoth would almost always say yes. And there would be light beings from other galaxies and other planets, and there would be deities and people, and from some of them would be teachers, some of them would be beings from other dimensions, other galaxies, other, I won't get into all the stuff that would happen, but just to give you an idea of how interesting it is, sometimes there would be beings that would show up and they would say things like, everybody's talking about you, meaning like everybody in the universe, everybody in all the other, there's a reason why when I do these interdimensional meditations, there's a reason why I send out a summons to all of the light beings and all of the extraterrestrials and all of the dimensions. There's a reason why. The reason why I can do that and feel confident doing that is because of this one example, which happened. It doesn't happen as much. It happened all the time back then. But this being would show up and they'd say, I'm from such and such dimension, or I'm from such and such galaxy, and I just had to come. I had heard about you. Everybody's talking about you. The whole cosmos is talking about you and how amazing and wonderful and how powerful you are and the things that you're going to do. We're so excited. I just had to meet you. I'm one of your biggest fans. Just that kind of stuff. Just some of them would be like that, and then some of them would be these amazing beings that show up, and some of them, I guess I'm not ready to talk about that. Other really amazing things. And they'd show up with these, as I'm sitting in my crystal throne, which is, has this big naga that comes up over the top, and I'm sitting in my throne there. And I've got my attendants with me, which there's a whole other, how my attendants came to me and how they were created and how they're part of me and all this, those are all of that. There's books and books of all that stuff I could write. But as I'm sitting there with my retinue and these beings are showing up, and light beings would show up sometimes as like these balls of light would just float in, and then they'd turn into whatever interesting being they were from whatever, interesting species, all kinds of really amazing stuff. And they'd show up with gifts, like to the king. They're bringing a gift to the king from their kingdom, from their society. And some of them are, just beautiful gemstones that have powers to do this and do that. It's just like a child's fantasy. This is why kids are not going to have a problem going to 5D, because they're already living it. They're already living it, because that's all it is. It's just this amazing childhood, beautiful fantasy, but it's filled with energy that is undeniable. You cannot deny the energy that comes with this. And the knowledge and the wisdom and the power, you can't deny it. So it's not just like you're having a fantasy in your head. There's, at least for me, the energies that hit me are absolutely beyond, I can't even put them into words. I'll tell you one really cool gift. I can't remember who gave it to me, but I still use it a lot. Being showed up with a gift. Said, we have a gift for you, and handed me this conch shell. I have one over there. But you know what a conch shell looks like, right? And hands me this. I'm like, oh, that's really wonderful. Thank you. And they said, put it to your ear. Put it to your left ear, I think they told me. So I put it to my left ear. And this word, this phrase comes out of the shell into my ear, and it goes and it wraps itself around my brain. Now that sounds horrible, but it's actually really wonderful, because the word will always be something very empowering. And once it gets in there, it never leaves. Like, you're the most amazing being that's ever lived. Something like that. It'll go in there, and then once it gets into my brain, then it's part of me, and it's something that I can always go back to, and it will empower me. These kinds of gifts. Anyway, I could go on and on and on. The stuff I've created over there is amazing. I am on numerous light being councils in this universe who create dimensions. I don't even know how many councils I'm on. The Council of 13. Am I on the Council of 9? I think I'm on the Council of 9. There are beings called, I'm going to try and remember that. What are they called? Guardians. I keep conflating or confusing it with that movie Guardians of the Galaxy, but there's something like Guardians of Galaxies or something like that. And these beings are huge shafts of light, extremely powerful beings. And they come together and they start talking about, they make plans on how to create and maintain entire dimensions. Dimensional, not just worlds but dimensions. And I'm on one of those. I go there and I'm like, yes, how can I serve you? And they're like asking me questions and asking my opinion, and then they said, that's your seat over there. You're one of us. And I'm like, how can that be? I'm a human. I said, well, because you chose to come down here. We can't know what we're supposed to do if you're not in this creation that you've created. You're in there so you know exactly what it's like and what needs to get done, and we listen to you because we're up here in our higher, we need, this was your idea, they said last time. I said, this was your idea. So, that's just, I'm on a bunch of councils all over the place. Let's see you see what I mean? If I took myself seriously, if I took myself seriously, I would either lose my mind or I would, I don't know. I can't take myself seriously. And yet I have to accept what I'm being told without being emotionally attached to it. And without meaning like, I don't care if it's real or not. I can't care if it's real or not, and I can't try and figure it out, and I can't gaslight myself out of it. If I do any of those things, I start to physically and mentally fall apart. So just for my own sanity, I have to just very lightly sort of dance with all this, but I have to accept it. I have to expand into it. Doesn't mean I understand it, and it doesn't mean I identify with it, although I'm supposed to identify with it. I'm just telling you the process I'm going through, because I'm now running into people who are bumping into the same things. And I can see the look on their face that they're having the same kinds of, how the hell do I... So you're not alone. I mean, if you're more than welcome to have even more fantastical things than me. I'm not trying to compete with anybody. Anyway, so I'm on numerous light being councils in this universe who create dimensions. I created 3D Earth virtual program, which is why I must end it. All right, I've talked about this, so I'll share it again. I was brought at some point and I was shown that the way I remember seeing it was I was there and there was a group of other gods, light beings, and we were surrounding what looks like a crystal ball. And we were creating the third dimension. We were creating third dimensional Earth specifically. Now, we had a general idea that what we wanted to create was a virtual reality where deities could go and they would take on an avatar in this 3D virtual game, and they would have to go through challenges where they had to go deep within to access their ability to manifest and create reality. So it had to be really challenging. Now, there was a discussion amongst us, and me being the pain in the ass, hard ass that I am, I took it very far, and I ended up winning the argument. The argument that people were saying was, we have to have an off switch, because if we create this, people could get into a lot of negativity, and it could be really damaging, and people could get lost in the matrix, and they wouldn't be able to get out, and it could really take them down some really negative things. And I said, there's no point in doing this if there's an off switch, because the moment that you do that, then we'll always just clock out. We'll never really get to the depth of it, which is when everything is its worst. You dig deep. This is why, if you guys want to know why, for the past 20 years on this channel, I've been telling you, you have to drop the victim mentality. You have to drop the fear. I didn't know any of the stuff I know now. I just knew. I knew that you had to do that. I have no tolerance for people who self-righteously victimize themselves. I have no tolerance for it. You have to drop it, because it's a video game, but the stakes are very high. I'm responsible for that. I don't know who else. I don't think I was alone. I think there was a faction of us that believed that. There was another faction that said, no, we have to have an off switch. And those of us that took it to the nth degree, we won. But you can't. You have to drop the fear. You have to drop the victim mentality. You have to drop the anger. You have to forgive those that have harmed you. You have to. Because if you don't, you get trapped in here and you can't get out. Now, it's okay to have anger. It's okay to have resentments. I'm not telling you not to have feelings. I'm telling you to change your attachment. I don't feel these things all the time, but I am absolutely committed to the best of my ability. Sometimes it feels like it's killing me. It's not easy at all. But the most important thing is that I will not adopt a victim mentality. I will not stop trusting the universe. I will always trust the universe, no matter how difficult, no matter how challenging. I will always forgive. I will always love myself, no matter how much my insides wants to beat the crap out of me. Because if I don't, I know what can happen. So the reason why my life has been so difficult, because there's people that have had lives more difficult than mine, but not many of you. That's why, anybody who comes at me with a victim mentality, you're not going to get any sympathy from me, because very few people have been through what I've been through and been able to turn their lives around and do what I do and accomplish what I've accomplished. You can do it, but you have to commit with your life. You have to make it more important than your own life to be free of victim mentality, to be free of fear, or at least act contrary to that. Because otherwise you'll get trapped here. And I'm responsible for that. I created that. So if you want to get mad at somebody, you can get mad at me. But I created this place so that you could find a way out. And what's important is, and sadly enough, in the third dimension, we don't have access to this. But now that I know, because I've been there and been back numerous times, I know that I'm a deity. I know that this is just a third dimensional projection. So I already know that. But that's what we wake up to. When you wake up to that, then when we're out of this third dimension, we will be able to create universes and galaxies and dimensions more beautiful and amazing than anything that's been created up until this point. That's why you're here. You're here and you're going through all of this so that when you're done with this, and you got your degree in overcoming, whatever that is, then you're going to go and create amazing dimensions and worlds, and you're going to be a god of your own creation. You'll have life forms and beings, and you can't do that if you're a victim. Victims don't create anything. So drop it. Please. Drop the victim mentality. And stop believing the people that tell you that there are deities out there that want to eat you, that there are false beings of light, that the universe hates you, that God wants to destroy you. Stop believing those people. Or accept that you're choosing to stay here. You want to stay here? Then keep the victim mentality going. There are ways out. 12 steps to 5D. Everything I give you is a way out if you commit to it. If you have unresolved childhood trauma, if you've been abused, if you've been sexually abused, if you've been physically abused, if you've been emotionally, psychologically abused, and you have real serious trauma, because there are people that just can't turn it on and decide to be positive and feel good. I know that. I've been there. Then the most powerful thing to do is to get therapy and have a practice. The 12 steps. The stuff that I teach, all of it, anybody can find a way out if you're willing to do the work. If you're not willing to do the work, I can't help you. And unfortunately, this is where the shift is going to happen. The people who go into the lower dimensional earth are going to be the ones that choose to stay in their victim mentality. The people who go to the middle one are people who are starting, I think the middle earth, the middle third dimension, which will be sort of like a Trump victory kind of reality where Trump wins and the deep state disappears, but you're still sort of in a, a post-apocalyptic kind of world. Those people are getting ready to let go and go up to the higher dimension. People who go to the higher dimension, where apparently I'm going to be sitting on a crystal throne meditating and protecting everybody, which is what I imagine when I go there. People who go there are going to be people who are ready to drop that 3D and do the work to accept their divinity and trust the universe and love themselves and love others and focus on all of that, hippie stuff. Okay, what else? I am son of the mother, father gods who create all other gods. So, this was a weird one. So one day, Thoth, I go into meditation and Thoth says, I have, somebody wants to talk to you. I said, okay, follow me. We have to go to their realm. I said, oh, fine. So I follow Thoth through the, the winding, interdimensional wormholes, and then I show up in this place, and it's very bright, and it's like it's almost like there's a stage, like a kind of like a Greek amphitheater, Greek temple. It's sort of like that, but it's very bright, and out comes this very bright light. And she says, I am the mother of all the gods. In fact, they together they both said, we are the gods that the gods worship. And she says, I am your mother. I gave birth to you. And so we have this interaction, and she's the light of all of the suns, all of the stars. That's, and I already know this as a shaman, but she made it very clear that the light of stars is feminine. The rays, I know this from my shamanic practice, the rays of the sun are masculine. That's why people think the sun is masculine, because they're focusing on the external. The center of the sun is feminine. So the light in all of the universe is feminine. It's the mother of all life is light. So she is light. She's the pure light of everything. She's the mother of everything, all of the gods. Now, her other half, her husband, he's not darkness, but you go to his realm and it's dark and it's very sparkly. It's got like it's intense. It's thick and powerful and intense, and it sparkles with all this you can just feel the power. So she's light and he's power. And he said his name was Tarhunt. I'd never heard of that before. And I've made videos about it. I went looking for it and found it. Oh, Tarhunt was the oldest recorded god, in human history was Tarhunt, the sky god. And then he had a wife, which was the light of stars, and I forget the name that I looked up and found. So I started calling her by this name that I can't remember, that I had looked up, which was the wife of Tarhunt. And in one of our interactions, right at the end, when I said the name that I thought her name was, she very calmly whispered back, Ilah. And I went, oh, that's her name. And then I went looking for that. Now, bear in mind, before that, what she had told me, I just got jolted as I said that. What she had told me is, she said, we created you as Shiva, as this god, and we sent you to Earth. And we sent you to Earth. This didn't happen in the same sentence. I'm putting together two different times, but it doesn't matter. She said, we sent you to Earth so that you could figure out why humans are so afraid. The first thing she said. And then the second one, she said, and we sent you to Earth to be the king of that planet. And she said, and she said, I'm your mother, I put you there, I made you king, blah, 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 blah. Right? So I knew her name was Ilah. So as always, I come out of these meditations and I, like all the rest of you, I go, well, that was weird. I think I made that up. So I'm going to go prove to myself I made that up. I'm going to go look for a goddess named Ilah. Well, here's what I found. The goddess Ilah is a Vedic goddess who is a sun goddess who gave birth to the first king of earth called Pururuvas. I didn't know that. That wasn't something I had read and put it. I had never seen that. In fact, you have to really dig to find it. And so it was like, you know, and the same thing with the Father God. When he told me his name, he said he gave me two different names. He said Tarhunt, or I think the first one he said was Tahunta, and then he said Tarhunt. Because I was like, and he goes, go look it up. Sure enough, I went and looked it up, and I had never heard that name before, that I can remember. So, there's another one. I am ruler of Andromeda Galaxy along with my past fiancé. Now, you might be wondering, how can you be ruler of all these different things? Well, I asked those same questions. Every time that I go and they tell me I'm this, that, and how can I be all these different things? What I've come to find out is that, remember what I said about dimensions, right? That second dimension, third dimension. Well, it turns out that all consciousness, which means all conscious beings, nobody is just in one dimension. It's not possible. Consciousness comes from the source. If you want to call it God, you can call it God. All consciousness, when you go back inside the soul of every being, pick up any animal and you find its consciousness and you go all the way back, you're going to go all the way back and you're going to go up through multiple dimensions until you get to whatever the highest one is, and then you're going to find God. And you'll find all beings there. And, there have been people who've had near-death experiences who have come back and said, I looked inside God and I saw all of you. And they're dead serious. They've never met you before. I've never met you before, but I saw you there. You're there now. So this is consciousness, and you are in higher dimensions. So when I talk about the shift between just the third dimension and the fourth dimension, the fourth dimension and the fifth dimension, there's a version of you in each one of them. Now, a version of me came to me early on, and I didn't like him. I like him now, but I didn't like him then. It's because I didn't like myself. And when he came, and he was walking around and doing energy work on me, and my, I didn't like him, and he said something to me like, hey there, Sparky, don't worry about it. I'm just gonna, he was very flippant, and he was really full of himself. My experience was, and I thought he was really cocky and full of himself, and that's because that's how I felt about myself. That was the self-judgment that I had picked up from my family. They had talked to me like that. So when I experienced myself, higher dimensional self, I had a judgment. It was my own judgment against me. I don't think that way about him now. I like him now. I haven't seen him. I think I've seen him maybe one other time since then. But you are in higher dimensions. So if you think the things that I'm saying sound really grandiose and fantastical. Well, the same is true for you. You'll have your own personal experience about that, who you are and what you are. And it'll sound just as fantastical. And it'll be true. Because you are in higher dimensions. And every time you go up to a higher dimension, being king of this universe is nothing. Well, one day I was really flipping out about the thought about being king of Earth. And then I realized that, wait a second, there's infinite numbers of planets, and there's infinite numbers of planets just in this universe. I said, well, geez, somebody's got to do it. It's not like, I guess I am king of this, ruler of this universe. What that means we could talk about. But anyway, so the point is that it's only fantastical in the limited third dimensional state. You go up to the fourth dimension or the fifth dimension, and it's as normal as anything else. Because things are amazing and wonderful and fantastical in higher dimensions. So there's nothing new about that. What else? Yeah, okay. So my current job on Earth is to bring 5D by leading interdimensional meditation and calling star seeds. So I was in Australia, and I think it was this year, I think it was the beginning of this year. And some ETs showed up. I could tell because I could feel that I was living on the side of this mountain. There's no mountains in Florida. I was living on the side of this beachside mountain, and I could tell that I couldn't see it, but I could feel that there was a spaceship right outside my balcony there. And I felt the energy of this being come in, and this being said, you are going to fly through the universe like Superman, and you are going to be seen in the clouds, and you're going to send energy to Earth, and you're going to, and I don't know what that means. I'm taking it physically, like this is physically going to happen to me. And I'm like interacting, like, what? You're going to like take off and fly up into the atmosphere. I'm like, how? And they're like, oh yeah, you're going to do all that, and it's amazing, and you need to know this. And then I start flipping out, because I know that if I jump off that balcony, I'm going to fall to my death. I know that what this being is talking about is impossible. How can this be possible? And I start flipping out. I mean, it's amazing and wonderful, but frightening all at the same time. And the being says, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. When the time comes, you will know exactly what to do. And when you do, everything is going to change. You're going to bring 5D to Earth. Earth is going to completely change. You'll know exactly when. Just don't worry about it. We're telling you ahead of time. We're really excited about it. Now, I doubted that, as you can imagine. I struggled with that, as you can imagine. And they came back a couple weeks later, and they said the same thing. Now, when they come back and they repeat something a second time, that's because, it's really easy for me to doubt it. Because it is possible to misinterpret. And it is possible to have a delusion. I've had, things that I've thought were going to happen that didn't happen. I've imagined interactions that didn't happen, things that didn't come true. So when they come back a second time, it's because they're wanting me to know, no, you're not making this up. This is for real. So I listened to them both times. They said the same thing. They said, don't worry about it. When the time comes, you will know exactly what to do. And when you do, it's going to change everything. So I said, okay, I won't worry about it then. And then I don't know how I knew, but one day I knew. I went back and remembered that I had done that first live interdimensional meditation to the sun and sent energy to earth, and the light beings flipped out and went crazy and thanked me, and oh my God, you have no idea what you've accomplished, that's so, thank you. And I was like, thank you, thank you, thank you. They were just saying that to me for days, showing up, thank you so much, thank you so much. I'm like, what did I do? So I kind of got the hint that that was something that they liked. Now at that point, I wasn't able to handle the energy because I was losing it. I was losing my sanity. And every time that I went and did those live guided meditations, I started going too far out, and I was coming apart. So I stopped. That's why I didn't do them after that. Or I'd do them every now and then. But then I got the message, it's time. This is how you're going to do it. This is why you're here. You're here to bring, and I just got hit with energy as I said that. That's why you're here. You're here to lead these meditations because they will bring 5D. I now know that when we are out there in our astral bodies, we're not three-dimensional humans. We are these things. There's, if there's a couple hundred people doing these meditations, there's a couple hundred giant, enormous, whatever you are. That's how I look out there. Whatever you are. There's a couple hundred of them, and they have the power of gods. And when we chant that mantra and we focus our intention on earth, there's nothing more powerful than that. Nothing. That's why, I'm not kidding around when I say 5D's coming and nothing can stop it. Absolutely nothing the dark forces can do to stop it. Not a thing. They can't even come close to the power that you have. And when we come together and we do this together, there's nothing that can stop it. So they were right. And then not too long after that, one of my apprentices, you probably see her on here, Thundra, she might even be here. She sends me a picture, and what was interesting was in that interdimensional meditation, as I was coming back to Earth, for some reason I was brought over to the northern Midwest of the United States, even though I'm down here. I was in Australia at the time, but I kept on seeing that for some reason, and I didn't know. But she says, I saw this. I went out and there was, we were having a solar storm right after we did that, and that's the picture of my face. It looks to me like my face. Some people don't think it looks like me. That's okay. I think it looks like me. But then I go, oh, that's what they meant. That I'm going to be seen in the sky and we're going to be flying around and sending energy. And it was a confirmation of what they had said. And it was a confirmation that if I listened to it and I accepted it, because I have to accept what is being brought to me. When they say I'm here to bring 5D and that I'm here to call starseeds in these interdimensional meditations, and this is what's going to bring the fifth, I have to accept that. So I do. I choose to accept it. Doesn't mean that I believe it. Doesn't mean that I think it makes sense. I've learned enough, my experience with spirit fighting and other stuff means, my intellectual acceptance of something has zero effect. The only thing that matters is your intentions and your actions. It's the only thing that matters. Your belief about it, meaningless. Your feelings about it, a little less meaningless. Your commitment, your intention, your focus, your actions, that's everything. So that's how I live my life. And, I get crazy messages from light beings that can't possibly be real. I go, okay, what have I got to lose? I'm just meditating. What's the worst that can happen? I have a fantasy when I'm meditating. Big deal. If it turns out that they're telling me the truth, then I save the world. If it's just a fantasy in my head, then I had a nice, enjoyable fantasy that made nice chemicals go through my body, and I had the benefits of meditation. I can't lose. Especially if I don't have an ego about it. If I don't have an ego about it, I'm right, I'm wrong, I'm fantasizing, I'm not. Who cares? All right, so is that everything? I think that's everything that I had written on there. Yep. So now it's out. And you guys heard it, and I can't take it back, so I'm no longer a secret. There's other stuff that happened, but that was some of that stuff was just, I didn't want to, like I said, I didn't want to distract. I didn't want to make it about me. But now that I see that other people are having the same experiences in their own way, now I think it's helpful, because now you can have your own validity to the things, and you're not going crazy. The things that were being shown and the things that were being told are completely impossible in the third dimension. And you're not crazy, you're not a narcissist, you're not delusional, you're being told something from a higher dimension, which doesn't fit in the third dimension. So it's always going to sound completely fantastical and unbelievable. And if anybody knows anything about dimensions, that makes sense if you look at it from a scientific perspective. Higher dimensional reality is going to be completely, totally beyond anything the third dimension can tolerate. So from that perspective, it's just normal. All right, so I said that I would take questions, and I'm on a different browser, so I can, let's see, what am I trying to do? Give me a break. So now I can see what people write here. Somebody's talking about an earlier video that I made today. It turns out that I didn't turn off the whole breath sound, so it was overpowering it, so I deleted it. So anyway, I said pretty much everything in this video that I wanted to say in that one. So somebody says it's great to be here. Celestial Wolf, nice to see you. Hi, and Thundra says hello. Hi Thundra. Film Sample. Don't know if any of you guys are still here. That was, whenever it was, a while ago. What is that? Athorel, it's in a font I can't read, says, I was totally blown away during that meditation. I think you mean Wednesday. Felt like I was going in between realities, like I was being tossed and turned through a portal. Thunder Bunny says, I felt little jolts from the last meditation. We can just take it day by day. Yeah, that's how it should be done. You don't have to have my experience. Like, I don't recommend it unless you really want it. I almost didn't survive it. Athorel, I've received messages that I am a crown prince of Orion. Yep. See, now, if you had told me that, 4 years ago, I would have gone, oh, man, that guy needs counseling. No, but, that makes perfect sense to me. Linda says, I keep seeing myself as a blue dragon. I wanted to be wolf, but dragon is very strong in every way. Yeah, that's, I've found myself to be things that were different than I have fantasized about in my 3D. But remember, your 3D identity is a fictional character. So it's like saying your fictional avatar in the video game has a fantasy. Well, that's not you. You're the person playing the game. You have a different, you have different fantasies. That's what was written into your character. So you're experiencing now something that's outside of your character. And it's more real than your, tiny 3D fantasies. Chod Matrix, honest feeling. A wolf will always be insane in a world of sheep. So that's not a feeling. Is it a feeling? It's more like a statement. A feeling is I feel. So are you saying that that's how you feel? That you feel like people see you as being insane? and that they're sheep. I can understand that. Shouty, question, do you think mind reading technology already? I mean, I can't answer the question because it's not a, it's, the sentence doesn't make sense. So try again, write a full sentence, make sure that it's in English and we all understand it. Do you think mind reading technology already? Are you, again, I don't know what that means, so I can't help you. Atheril says, Shiva and Indra are responsible for teaching me to eventually take the throne of Orion. Linda, I had a contact with my family and neighbors. I was 12, now I'm 63. I can never deny my experience. Child Matrix question, am I to do the Maoshan 5 elements facing in their respective doors' directions? Don't worry about it. Just follow the directions. If I haven't put the directions in, don't worry about it. Follow the directions that are there. Don't add anything more. Don't take anything away. Do the best that you can. Don't overdo it. Child Matrix question, is this full moon, Sunday, August 18th, with the solar flash, a more powerful moon for summoning Odin? I don't know. Good. Do it and find out and tell us what you find out. Thunder Bunny, I saw an ET in cloud smiling at me. Isn't that nice? Tim Z, oh, you guys are talking to each other. Yeah, I don't know who some of you are if I can't. So I may know you. I may be saying somebody's YouTube ID, and I may know you, but I don't know you by looking at that. My right ear has been, Atherel says, my right ear has been ringing a lot since the start of this session. Yes, so we talked about that in the most recent live Zoom class. That is a sign that you are interacting with extraterrestrials. It might be other kinds of beings as well, but it's definitely extraterrestrials. Some deal with the left ear. I think the Pleiadians deal with the left ear, for me. Very rarely, because if my left ear rings, it means I'm being warned. Somebody's giving me a warning. Some kind of physical danger. My right ear just means that I'm either hooked up or I'm getting a download. It doesn't mean I can always hear or understand the message. It just means I'm connected. I've come to the belief that the right ear ringing, being closed up. Now, mine completely closed up for months. I thought, at first it started with like I was getting an ear infection and it was getting like swollen and it felt like it was getting infected, and then it closed up and I thought I had an ear infection, and then the infection went away but it was still closed up. And then I realized it was connected to my interactions with extraterrestrials. Now, higher dimensional beings, because they're in higher dimensions, they have technology that we can't see. So I'm literally hooked up to them. Of course, I can't see it in the third dimension, but I can feel it. How that is, I don't know, but that's just my feeling. I'm hooked up to them. Whenever a spaceship is coming, and I'm going to get, especially if a being is going to like transport themselves into my physical space, my right ear will close up. I go, oh, somebody's here. And then I'll go lie down and I'll have, I'll get a message or, communicate or something. But ever since the original visitations where they hooked me up to however they did it, that's what's given me the ability to go on these higher dimensions. What's given me the ability to lead these interdimensional meditations and to empower them came from the ETs hooking me up to whatever their technology is. I could be wrong about that, but that's what I think is going Blue sky feels great today, as if a huge yoke is lifted over my shoulders. Athoriel says, I've just recently been seeing semi-invisible lighting shooting out of my fingers when I do the Summon the Immortals Qigong. Yep. A lot of power in that. I could tell you stories, but yeah, that's right. Blue sky. I have a feeling soon, very soon, the EBS will go off. I don't know what that is. Emergency Broadcasting System, is that what that is? Thunder Bunny wants me to autograph my books. Okay. Thundra, thank you for sharing this. I have been told something similar also. You aren't alone. Thank you. Yeah, I know you've been told similar stuff too. Athorel, the King of Earth is training me to be King of Orion. This makes sense now. Oh, I see what you're saying. So if I'm hearing you right, you're saying that they told you that Shiva was training you to be, what, King of Orion, and now, since you're working with me, I'm trained. So in the third dimension, it's mirroring what you said. Yeah. How could I say that's not accurate? It is hard to accept, isn't it? Yeah, it is hard to accept. But again, think about it. Orion is how many? Orion is what? Is that a galaxy? A star? How many of them are there just in this universe? Infinite numbers. So every single planet, every single star, every single galaxy, every single, feature in this universe, just in this galaxy, is lorded over by some conscious being. So somebody's got to do it. Why not you? I'm busy running other places. I can't be King of Orion. Somebody's got to lord over the Orion galaxy, so why shouldn't it be you? Let's see, what else? Blue sky, because lots of people are going to need your help, she says. I think it's a she. Blue sky. Again, I may know you and I don't know your ID. So Linda says, we are more than what we think we are. Yep. Blue sky. Imagine all of a sudden second realm and our third real will be one. Veil will fall. Okay. So let's see. Repentance, question mark. Is that you asking a question? If you spell it out, I'll be able to answer your question. Okay. Been doing my best to stay in the present and not get attached. Yep. You know, what's interesting, we've been getting hit for the past couple of days with a lot of very powerful storms. People are flipping out about it on YouTube. But what's interesting is I don't feel any discomfort. Ever since we did this last meditation Wednesday, maybe that's, the meridian thing that got blown out. Maybe I broke through some block within me, some resistance. I don't need to be right about that. If I end up getting filled with anxiety, I'll let you know, but I haven't. Whatever's hitting the planet, I don't feel any different. So maybe I've pushed through that. I hope so. Soulful Artist, hey, how are you? Mine is a temple on an asteroid with looking pools and spirit tech throne room. Sounds awesome. And I think Soulful Artist, she has a channel, and I think you're going to do some meditations about that. Let's see, Choda Matrix question. What does a 5D surfboard look like, maneuver like? I don't know, but in my fantasies, when I go, the truth is when I go to my 5D realm, I'm not surfing. I have to force that fantasy onto it. So, because in 3D surfing is I went surfing today. Thank the gods that there's a hurricane out in the middle of the Atlantic, so we finally got some waves. But if I don't surf, I'm a very unhappy person. I wouldn't want to live here anymore if I couldn't surf. I would want But maybe I don't need it in 5D. But in my fantasy, of course, the board is alive, the board is conscious, and the waves are conscious and alive. And so it's more like a dance. And so the board, like horses, they're alive and they move with you. And the wave, can make dances with me as I'm doing it. So that's how it feels when I'm doing it now, like you're interacting with a living thing. But I'll find out. You can ask me when we get there. Robin says, I need a refugee. You mean a refuge, I think you mean to say. I feel exposed. I live in Fort something in Ohio. I feel like the government is watching me. I'm scared. Well, you know what? I can't tell you whether they are or they aren't, but the fact of the matter is that you have power. So just accept that. Accept that you have more power than anything. And the more that you go in that direction, the more power you'll get. We don't know if these feelings are real. They might be. I know for a fact this kind of stuff does happen to people. And I know sometimes it's just our fears. But in either case, you have power to overcome it. You're welcome to keep following my channel, keep doing the practices. Go to thunderwizard.com and do those practices. Work the 12 steps to 5D. You can find that on my channel as well. Let's see. And then Robin says a bunch of other things. I won't give out any specifics on your life. But that's the answer to all of that. The truth is that everything you have in your life, you've manifested, you've created. That sounds like I'm victim blaming you, but it's just the truth. So get my book or watch my videos. You can watch the videos on my channel. The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. If you practice that with everything you have, you'll completely change your life around. You don't need to be a victim of all those negative circumstances. But it's okay that you are. I've gone through it. I still go through those things, and so does everybody else listening here. So, what else? Question: how do I join the live Zoom class? It's a great question, and I tell people how to do it all the time. And so, whenever you look on the channel and you hear me talking, you see all kinds of things, and there's websites there. You should be checking them out if you want to know where things are. If you want to know how to get to the live Zoom class, I put it up earlier. I'll put it up again. Where is it? Well, look at that. There's a website, and there's instructions. So you go to thunderwizard.com and you subscribe to that specific thing. That's how. So just pay attention to all of the graphics that I put up. At thunderwizard.com, I tell you in every video, everything, just about everything is there, but you got to put the time and effort to look for it. So that's the answer to your wonderful question, my friend. What else? What else? Ariel, haven't seen you for a while. I hope you're doing well. Hello, Mahadeva, coming in late to this again. Thank you, as always, for everything you do. Help in this ascension process. I'll hopefully speak with you soon. I look forward to that. Yeah, so anyways, Robin, I'm sorry you're going through that. I've given you, you got to take action in the proper direction. There's nothing wrong with having a feeling, but you have to act contrary to that feeling. So you have to, do something. I've given you there's multiple free things on this channel. 12 steps to 5D is one. You can start there. But if you do that and you make the determination to change your life, you have to do it every day. You have to wake up every day. You can't buy into the fear. You have to take action in another direction. So anyway, if you want, anyway, I've got a lot of stuff on the channel. Hopefully that'll help you. Do the meditations at the very least. Reach out to light beings and ask for their help. What else? The Clovia says hello. She says it's mind-blowing on all the levels when family starts showing up. I'm assuming you're meaning family that have passed. Yes, I've experienced that as well. I understand that. Okay, what else? All right, that's it. Okay, we're all done. Are we all done? Yep. All right, my friends, thank you so much for this. Again, I will start doing the live meditations when I'm fully healed. I'm able to function. I'm not, I'm not in any pain at the moment. I'm sure if I get up and stretch, I'll feel stiff and sore. I was able to surf just fine. But last night when I got together with my people and we started talking, the energy started hitting me and the pain was intense. So I am going to let my nervous system and my energy meridians heal. And when I have zero pain, when I meditate or do stuff, I'll come back. I'm sure I'll be stronger than I was before. And we'll keep doing these live interdimensional meditations. And yes, somebody just threw down $5. Who was that? Anthony, thank you. And always you can click on the little money thing there and the little $, and that will support the channel. And again, as I said in the beginning, if you're new to the channel and you want to support the channel, the best ways to do that are to subscribe, like, comment, hit the bell button, do these meditations as often as possible. Follow and like Path of the Thunder Wizard on Facebook. Share Thunder Wizard YouTube video links and Facebook posts on all of your social media. Subscribe to the thunderwizard.com Patreon site. Hopefully you do more than subscribe for free, which doesn't get you anything. I'm talking about the Patreon site at thunderwizard.com. You should definitely subscribe for free here on this channel. Go to thunderwizard.com and click on shop. There's a bunch of very powerful practices that will help you of all different kinds, real cheap, and some of the more in-depth ones which cost a little more. And of course all the free stuff on this channel. And again, the more that you support the channel, the more time I can put into doing this work. What else? Anything else? Okay, I don't see any other questions here. Thank you all so much. My friends, please know that you are the most important being that has ever existed. You are the most powerful being. That now you know why I do this on the end of videos. Now you know where this came from. You are the most powerful being that has ever existed, the most important being that has ever existed. The entire universe was created solely for your pleasure. If you spend your life focused on making yourself happy and fulfilling your deepest joys, all conscious beings in the universe will bow before you and will thank you. The gods themselves will get on their knees and worship you if you are fulfilling your deepest desires. With that, my friends, thank you so much for showing up, and I thank you for creating this universe and allowing me to live in it. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't exist. This universe wouldn't exist without you. And until next time, please know how much I love you, how much I appreciate you, especially those of you that are doing these. Well, I love you all, but I am grateful for all of you who are doing these meditations because you are bringing the 5D shift. You're doing it. When we come together and do these things, I absolutely am convinced we are bringing it. Whatever changes you see on planet Earth going in a positive direction, we did it. So until next time, my friends, I love you all very much. Please take very good care of yourselves. I will see you all very soon. Thank you so much.